The biggest silent shift happening in the workplace right now isn't about layoffs or technology, it's about value. Most people think AI is coming to take jobs, but what it's really doing is rewriting the definition of value in every role. If you can't show how your work adds intelligence, efficiency, or creativity to your team, AI will quietly replace the part of you that doesn't. That's the uncomfortable truth many professionals avoid facing. But ignoring it doesn't stop it. Across industries, AI is automating tasks we once thought required human skill. Reports are being written faster. Marketing campaigns are being generated in seconds. Analysts are being replaced by data co-pilots. The average professional who still measures success by hours worked instead of problems solved is already falling behind. And this gap widens every quarter. You may feel it already. It's meetings where you say less because the software already produced the summary. Projects that need fewer hands because automation took care of the repetitive work. It's easy to justify this by thinking your experience or soft skills protect you. Yet what's really being tested is your ability to adapt, to redefine how you bring unique human value into an AI-assisted world. Most people are reacting too late because they don't know how to measure what parts of their role are vulnerable. They assume that because they're busy, they're safe. But being busy doesn't mean being irreplaceable. You could be filling your days with work AI already does better and cheaper. The frustration builds when promotions slow down or projects get reassigned. Start wondering if you're still growing or just maintaining a version of your role that's disappearing. The real pain is not knowing where you stand. You hear about automation, but don't know how to apply that information to your own job. You might scroll through endless AI headlines, feel a mix of curiosity and fear, then go back to doing things the same way. And that's the trap. The lack of clarity creates paralysis. You can't adapt to what you don't measure. That's why the solution starts with auditing your role for AI disruption is not about panic or pessimism. It's about understanding how value flows through your position, identifying what's replaceable, and upgrading the parts that aren't. Think of it like preventive maintenance for your career. You wouldn't drive a car for years without checking the engine. Yet most people drive their careers for decades without inspecting how their skills and responsibilities are evolving. At KB Bluetree, we focus on giving professionals the systems to think strategically about these changes, not just react to them. And it starts here with awareness. Once you can see what's vulnerable, you can take control of how you adapt. That's the difference between professionals who survive disruption and those who grow stronger because of it. Solutions. Let's go deeper into what actually works. The framework for auditing your role against AI disruption follows 3 essential stages: visibility, vulnerability, and value creation. Each stage builds clarity and gives you specific actions to future-proof your work. The first stage is visibility. You need to map your role like an outsider looking in. Write down every task you do in a normal week, not just the official ones in your job description. Include meetings, reports, emails, client interactions, research, and even the invisible mental load that keeps projects moving. Then ask, which of these tasks are repetitive, rule-based, or information-driven? Those are the areas AI targets first, because they can be translated into code or algorithms. This is where honesty matters. Many people overestimate how creative or judgment-based their work really is. If a process has a clear input and output, it's already at risk. Once you've listed everything, mark which tasks could be automated with current AI tools. Don't worry if you're not familiar with every technology yet. The point is awareness, not expertise. Even this basic map can reveal patterns that change how you see your job. The second stage is vulnerability. Now that you know what parts of your work are exposed, evaluate how much of your compensation and influence come from those tasks. If 70% of your role involves repetitive data, formatting, or reporting, your vulnerability is high. But if most of your time is spent on strategy, relationships, and creative judgment, your vulnerability is lower. The goal is to reduce dependency on the replaceable parts and expand the human-centered ones. AI doesn't destroy roles, equally it erodes the layers where judgment is minimal. For example, an accountant who only enters data is at risk. But an accountant who interprets financial trends and advises clients on strategy adds irreplaceable human context. The difference lies in perspective, not just skills. That's why your next step is to increase your value density, the proportion of your work that requires creativity, empathy, and strategic insight. The third stage is value creation. This is where you redesign how you operate. Think of AI not as a competitor, but as an amplifier. If it can do 40% of your low-value tasks, that's time you can reinvest into innovation, leadership, or new client solutions. You shift from being the executor to being the orchestrator. You use AI as leverage, not as a threat. The professionals who thrive in the next decade won't be the ones who resist automation, they'll be the ones who harness it. To make this actionable, build a 2-column system. In the first column, list your replaceable tasks. In the second, write how you'll transform that time into higher value work. Maybe you use AI to summarize meetings faster so you can focus on problem solving with your team. Maybe you use it to draft reports so you can spend more time advising clients. Each hour you free from automation becomes an hour invested in irreplaceable contribution. But adaptability requires mindset shifts too. You must see learning as a permanent habit, not a temporary fix. The professionals who adapt the fastest treat skill development like part of their job description. They don't wait for corporate training. They build micro-learning routines into their week. 10 minutes a day, exploring AI tools relevant to your field compounds, into expertise that separates you from peers still waiting for direction. At KB Bluetree, we call this the growth audit cycle. Learn, apply, measure, adjust. Every quarter, reevaluate your role. What new tools have emerged? What parts of your work could be automated now that weren't 6 months ago? How have you reinvested that freed up time? By repeating this audit, you stay ahead of the curve instead of chasing it. And here's the deeper truth. The biggest threat isn't AI itself, it's professional stagnation. AI forces you to re-examine how you think, how you solve, and how you grow. That's uncomfortable but powerful. Once you adopt this mindset, you move from defense to offense. You start leading the conversation about transformation instead of fearing it. That's where long-term security and satisfaction live. Remember, the goal isn't to do more work, it's to do more meaningful work. AI is clearing the clutter, giving humans the chance to focus on creativity, empathy, and systems thinking. The audit is simply the process that helps you claim that opportunity before someone else does. Success story. Danielle was a marketing manager at a mid-sized tech company. 5 years into her role, she started noticing small but unsettling changes. Campaign briefs that used to take a week now came back in a day because the creative team used generative tools. Reports that required multiple analysts were automated through dashboards. She wasn't being replaced, but she was being sidelined. Instead of waiting, Danielle decided to conduct her own role audit using the framework she learned through KB Bluetree. She listed all her weekly tasks and realized that nearly half involved reporting, scheduling, and email follow-ups. Those were exactly the areas being automated. Her value density was shrinking. She felt exposed, but that clarity gave her direction. Danielle started reallocating her time. She automated repetitive marketing reports using simple AI tools. That saved her about 7 hours per week. She used that time to analyze customer behavior data and propose new content strategies. Within 3 months, one of her campaigns increased lead conversion by 24%. Her manager noticed. Next, she built a small internal guide showing how her team could integrate AI into their workflows. This positioned her as the in-house expert. When the company restructured 6 months later, Danielle wasn't at risk. She was promoted to Director of Growth Strategy. Her salary increased by 40%, and her influence within the company doubled because she became the bridge between technology and strategy. Her story illustrates what happens when you stop fearing AI disruption and start using it to redefine your worth. Danielle didn't become a data scientist or coder. She became more strategic by auditing her role, automating the replaceable parts, and reinvesting her time into the high-value, zone-creative problem-solving and leadership. That's the transformation available to every professional willing to take ownership. Danielle's results weren't luck. They were the outcome of a structured audit process anyone can follow. She built visibility around her tasks, evaluated vulnerability, and created new value. Most importantly, she kept repeating the cycle every few months. That's why she continues to thrive even as her industry changes. Call to action. Now it's your turn. Take 1 hour this week to perform your first career audit. Write down every task you do and highlight the ones that could be automated or assisted by AI. then decide how to transform that time into high-impact contribution. Don't wait for management to define your next move. Lead it yourself. At KB Bluetree, we believe sustainable success comes from awareness and action. The sooner you understand how your role creates value, the faster you can adapt to the future of work. AI isn't your enemy, it's your amplifier. But only if you take the time to design how you'll use it. Subscribe to KB Bluetree for more insightful content that helps you grow your career with clarity and confidence. We dive deep into strategies that combine productivity, mindset, and technology so you can stay ahead of change. Audit your role, redefine your value. Adapt now while everyone else hesitates. The professionals who act today become the leaders of tomorrow. Start your audit, and we'll guide you every step of the way.